Adele Dazim.
Eric Andre, my friend.
What's
So good to see
happening, my
you.
man?
Last things first. Congratulations on Bad Trip.
Thank
I
you.
have to tell. I have to tell you personally. For me, I'm very glad that I had to wait to watch it on Netflix because I had to hit pause at least a half dozen times because of my laughing fits.
Oh, amazing. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I don't know if I would have survived watching it in a cinema with a packed audience. I might have vomited
You would have
all
lost
of
your
my
mind.
enjoyment.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, man.
It's fun to catch up with you. I was thinking back. I've known you at least 14 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Long
And
time.
but I didn't realize that the prankster in you goes back even farther. Like
Yeah.
when was that kind of first split? You know, I know you studied music up in Boston at Berkeley,
Yeah.
but when was that moment where you're like, no, I'm really more of a prankster comedian than a musician?
Before I was filming pranks before I started stand up, so it's like my first love. Uh, I made a video when I was 20, 21 years old, finishing college, doing these like um, poor man's Sacha Baron Cohen-esque characters that
Mm-hmm.
weren't fully fleshed out like his characters are. But like I would prank other colleges. I would go into like Boston College or BU and do pranks in the middle of classes and have my friends like sneak into the class and film it. And yeah, I was a fucker. I was a slippery little fucker from day one.
What was the most audacious prank you pulled off while you were in college?
I mean, those pranks are like very Gen 1 pranks. Like definitely nothing that compares to Bad Trip, but I would
Right.
dress like kind of like a primitive version of my Ranch It Up character from the Adult Swim show. I do, and the character's name was Chase McDude, and I had like a wig, and I would go. I was like Spicoli. I would go into a big auditorium class, like Western Civ 1, with like a boom box, and I'd order pizza to class, and I'd like tip my shades at the teacher and like throw the teacher an apple and skateboard into class and ask all these inappropriate questions until I got kicked out of class.
Did any did did anything nearly as dangerous as the barbershop incident in Bad Trip ever happen?
No, that's a pretty high danger situation. I had to build to that level.
I like the fact that in that moment, that's the one time we don't actually see a camera inside the barbershop.
Yeah, we fucked up. The first AD sent us into the wrong barbershop. Uh,
Ah.
the cameras were there was the exterior camera, which is our only angle, but there were other cameras in another barbershop that was a few shops down,
Mhm.
and he sent us into the wrong barbershop, and then we almost died.
That's why it's important to make sure you're all on the same page.
Yeah, as soon as we walked in there, I go, "Where are the cameras?" And the guy was brandishing a weapon, and then I was like, "I have to leave."
Now, it's an extra added layer of fun for me watching this because I've known you and Rel and Tiffany since before you were famous, but it also kind of like makes me curious that you've been working on this film for so long
Yeah,
that you and your co-stars have gotten significantly more famous
yeah,
in the time that it took to make the movie.
yeah.
Were there any moments where it was just tricky to pull off just because people started to know who Tiffany was, for example?
Yeah, that's kind of like the most commonly asked question keeps getting asked. We had a plan going into it because we knew that was happening. Tiffany, we disguised the most. We gave her face tattoos, cornrows. We dressed her like she doesn't appear in any other movie or red carpet or anything like that. Um, we gave her like card heart. We dressed her like a construction worker. So that went a long way. Rel was semi-disguised. We put clothes. I mean, clothing and a haircut go a long way. And then on top of that, we just made sure we prank people like over 45 years of age. That's the big thing. Because the majority of my fans are under 35, under 30. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
young. So we weren't pranking any college campuses or skate parks. we were pranking like soccer moms, middle American soccer moms. So there was that. There was also, we had code words, or we had a code word Phyllis. So anytime there was like a mark coming into the scene that looked like they would recognize me or Rel or Tiffany, I would like quietly go into my hidden lav mic and say, Phyllis is coming, my old friend Phyllis in the blue shirt. When then a stunt coordinator or a PA would walk in, intercept the person, quietly ask them like, hey, why don't you come over here for a second, we're doing a thing. And like, you know, it was a CIA operation. It was like a sting operation.
That's got to be quite a Venn diagram to hit, to be trying to prank soccer moms, but also soccer moms who apparently have never seen Bones.
Yes, you know, Michaela never got called out. She wasn't in. She's probably in the least amount of scenes out of the 4 actors in the movie, but she luckily did not get called out. And she's probably like the most watched. I think Bones went into like 255 episodes or something insane.
Yeah, and she went pretty nuts. She was as committed as you three were.
Yeah, she was great. That was her first time doing hidden camera as well. Tiffany had hidden camera experience, but Rel had none going into this, and Michaela had none going into this, and they both rocked it. They rose to the occasion.
The thing about your movies, like, that strikes me as better and fundamentally different than, say, you know, the Jackass movies, because I know you worked with Jeff Tremaine a little bit on this, is how much of a high wire act it is to improvise off of people who don't realize they're in a bit.
Yeah, it's hard.
Did you have any formal improv training?
No, I mean, a few years ago I took a use, like, not a few years ago. God, it's like 2011. Feels like a few years ago. A decade ago. I took like a UCB 101 class and like a groundlings class. But not like, I didn't go to theater school, but I've taken like acting classes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So for the musical I Saw a Girl Today,
I studied with a choreographer. I studied with a couple choreographers for that. No musical theater training, but I that was all choreographed, and I rehearsed the shit out of that as best as I could. I still fucked it all up.
I was thinking, like, because that, you know, so much of those things you really have to get in one take, otherwise it's months down the drain.
Yeah. Yep.
So how do you rehearse that?
The dancing I just rehearsed in my apartment. Well, no, I rehearsed in a dance studio space with the choreographer. Then I'd go home and practice by myself all the time, and then I'd practice for my director and producing partners, and then I would quietly go into the space, into the mall and off hours, and kind of like visually map out where I was going to do everything. But you kind of just, once you're up and running, you gotta just go for it. But that wasn't too nerve-wracking because I wasn't being very antagonistic in that bit compared to other bits, like the Chinese penis trap and the honky tonk bar. Some of the other stuff, I'm a little more. My character's a little more like provocative.
Right. Or the rooftop.
I wasn't fearing for my life in that one like I was for some other ones.
Did you have any fear in the rooftop bit?
Yes, that was just I'm afraid of heights, so doing that is stressful.
Okay. How important then was it for you to have the footage that rolled over the credits?
That's the true grand finale of the movie. That's the true, like, denouement, release of tension, just seeing all the reveals of, revealing the prank.
Right.
Revealing the pranks to people, and getting them, like, laughing and being like, oh my God, what the hell? That scared the shit out of me. In a way, that's, like, the true, like, dismount.
Was it important for you to show that, just to show that everybody was okay with it at the end, and there was no harm done, or was it
Yeah,
just...
I think it leaves you with a good taste in your mouth, and it makes it feel like fun because like also like the people that we prank are the real stars of the movie. The greatest laugh whenever we'd screen the film, the biggest laughs would not come from me or the cast. They would come from the real people who weren't even aware that they were in the movie. Like there's a woman named Jackie in one of the scenes.
Oh, in the restaurant.
In the restaurant, yeah, in the little chicken wing stop.
Yeah.
She's the most charismatic performer of all time, and I think she's like an ex-security guard who wasn't even aware that she was on camera. So it was like our way of the reveals at the end and the credit scroll, like it's our way of like having even the marks like take a bow because they're as performative as the actors. Yet they weren't even aware that they're in a movie. They might still not even know they're in a movie until it comes out on Netflix. You know what I mean? I mean, we had to get their release signed, but it's been so much time has passed since we pranked them. They're gonna be like, they're about to be stars, and they don't even really comprehend it. You know what I mean?
Right, because there's so much filming that happens now with the web that people just sign something and go, oh, this might be on YouTube, or this might be on some cable channel that I don't even subscribe to.
I'm sure they're like, oh, maybe we missed it because like the movie was supposed to come out a year ago and then the world ended. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting for especially like Netflix. Like so many people worldwide have at click of a button access to the movie now in a way with we weren't originally intending. So it's really exciting to put it out on Netflix now with their subscriptions higher than 200 million worldwide.
Well, with a movie like yours, or even your TV show, and then comparing it to the stuff Sacha does with Borat, like it reminds me of a great magic trick, because you want to know how you pulled it off, but on the other hand, at the same time, you're like, but if I know how you pulled it off, it does that ruin it for me once I know?
It's a little bit of both. It like makes you go, oh, that's cool, but it also like ruins the magic a little bit. But ask away. I'm an open book.
Well, the real difference for you though is like Sacha actually hired other actors and doesn't tell you that they're actors in some of the scenes.
For which?
For the movie, like there were some people who were actually in on it, and then a lot of people who weren't. And
no,
you don't really know the difference.
No. I don't think he ever fakes a prank. But in Kazakhstan, like when he's like doing all the setup stuff in Kazakhstan, like those are actors. Mm-hmm. But then when he comes to America and he starts pulling off the pranks, the real prank, I don't think he ever like has a fake reaction or anything like
that. I'm not sure about those guys that he spent 2 weeks in a cabin with.
Oh no, those guys were real.
Oh really?
Yeah. Those guys were real. Yeah. I know how they do it because I'm buddies with all the guys that made it. I don't want to say too much because I don't know what they're comfortable revealing and what they're not comfortable revealing. But like, yeah, I actually kind of know how he did. That one's not that hard to produce. You just need people that don't know the original Borat, but they're out there.
Right. Right. For you, I'm also curious because you've been, Bad Trip is like the culmination of years of great pranks on TV and just in real life. Like you would go and do things, you would go to political events and serve as a reporter or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so fascinated with what you do because it requires like such, for lack of a better term, balls to put yourself out there where you really don't know how you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, it's stressful.
So it's like the fact that you are still doing it this many years later and not going, I think I'm too old for that, or I think
I've definitely had those moments because it's just so stressful. It ages you.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely had those moments, but there's kind of like nothing more high stakes than pulling off these pranks properly.
Right.
So
But you also do have like a team of people. Like I know you've worked with Dan Curry for a long time, and
Yeah, he
Dan.
just texted me as you said,
and I re-
as you summoned his name, you Beetlejuiced him into existence.
and I
Yeah, it
remember
was all
Dan.
the people. It was all the people from the show, and I was flanked by Kitao and Dan from my show, and then Jeff Tremaine had his posse. So it was like a meeting of the minds, and Jeff like mentored us the whole way. He was our master splinter. And we had, and then we had like the great prank minds in the writers' room helping us out. Like Nathan Fielder came in with, Leo Allen and Jason Wooliner, who have worked on his show and worked on Borat, and Sacha and Cohen watched a movie in its like earliest like rough cut. We showed him a really rough cut of it, the movie at his house, and we collaborated with some of his writers, and we had some punked writers. We had like every prank writing team kind of filter through our halls so that we could figure out what to do and what not to do. But it was a very long and arduous process, figuring that out. A lot of trial and error.
Oh, I guess in the like one example from the first Borat movie, there were some people who didn't know who Lunel was. So when So when he showed up,
he's weaving actors in and out. I think he's like us. He does have some cast. Like we have 4 actors, but we had to keep the cast to a minimum because you have to it has to be crystal clear for the audience who's in on the prank and who's not. And if you're introducing new actors every 5 seconds, it gets like very muddy very quickly.
Right. What's real and what's
yeah, you just want it clear. Like these people are in on it. These people are not in on it.
Right. You're not really pranking the audience at all.
No, you don't want to prank the audience. You want the audience to be with you so that they can follow the setup punchline of it all.
So what did you learn from each of these guys who came on board at different parts of the filming? What did you learn from Jeff Tremaine?
I think everything. Like we just came into the process only knowing, crazy, criminally insane Eric Andre show style pranks. But Eric Andre show style pranks don't have any narrative needs. In fact, they're like almost purposely non-narrative and completely absurdist and surreal. This movie, you needed to push story along as you were pranking people. So, which is no small feat. It's hard enough to have a movie story function, let alone have it function through pranks and through real people delivering plot versus actors delivering plot. So we had to learn story writing, and we had to learn it quick because we were just coming from joke writing and prank writing. So he kind of bridged the gap between, our basic cableless, absurdist 11-minute talk show and, feature-length film as a medium. And he took everything he learned from the 3 Jackass movies and Bad Grandpa, which was their first narrative venture.
Right.
And all the trials and tribulations of that, because they filmed a ton of stuff for Bad Grandpa that never saw the light of day because they realized, oh no, we need a story to get across 90 minutes of footage with this character. We can't just like go out and do pranks because the momentum stalls out so quickly. So, also Sacha too, when we showed it to him at his house, he was very story centric. He wasn't that prank centric in his feedback. He was like, there's some story issues at the end of Act 2 and Act 3 that need massaging, and we had to learn the hard way the importance of story even in this prank genre. There was that, and also like pranks in Eric Andre show, my character doesn't need to be sympathetic. My character is like completely insane and deranged and ADD. My character in the movie has to be sympathetic or you're not going to follow him for 90 minutes. So the pranks are more, they call them help me pranks. They're more like, I'm more like in peril versus being like intentionally destructive like I am on the Eric Andre show. My character couldn't be intentionally destructive on this. My character had to be like unintentionally and accidentally destructive, a la Chris Farley in Tommy Boy. You know what I mean? I had to be like
Right.
a puppy dog.
You have to get chased into danger.
Chase into danger, or danger happens accidentally. So
What did Nathan Fielder bring to the table?
I don't remember any specifics. I came in once or twice to. I had him read the script and I took him to dinner. That was in the early stages. I don't remember anything specific. It was just kind of like various prank ideas, just like brainstorming, punch up kind of stuff.
Okay, because he tends to have more of a subtle, surreal tone to his.
Definitely different style and approach, and I think like also he directs the show, so I feel like he's also like they definitely plan a lot and write a lot and have like an agenda and an outcome in mind, but he also within that like makes a lot of discoveries on camera, or at least it appears that way. So he has such a special, like, specific nuanced alchemy to what he does so well. He's got one of my favorite shows on television. That you have to be him to make that show. It's so nuanced and specific. Yeah.
The other significant difference, and I've been thinking about this for a few years now, independently of your show, but your show and your comedy and your movie really brings it on home. But I came to an awakening. I don't want to say woke, but I came to an awakening watching comedians do like Just for Laughs sets several years ago, where there's a tendency in white guys stand up to deliver joke premises, but the joke premises themselves are pranks. They're like, here's an idea. Why don't you like go up to somebody and do this? And I realized that only white guys could get away with doing the things that they're suggesting in their stand-up. Because if a black guy in America tried to do the things that the white guys are joking about.
Yeah, we actually had like a couple meetings about that early on. Like Ruben Fleischer, who was like one of our producing partners in the movie, he had a moment where he's like, I'm genuinely, now that we've cast Rel, I'm genuinely worried about you guys going into the deep south and pulling these pranks. Like, I think we need like a heightened level of security and caution. And like day one, we got a knife pulled out on us. But he had a moment of panic before we went into production. But
Ruben or Rel?
Well, both. But Ruben was kind of the first to say to bring up that idea, like this is the first black prank movie. And there's not really any black prank shows, let alone prank movies. So we all kind of got scared, but we got our security detail figured out, especially after the knife incident day one. So
the knife incident was on day one?
Was day one. That was the very first hidden camera prank Rel filmed.
was the Chinese finger trap.
Yeah. That was it. That was his kickoff.
I guess he might as well was the thinking he might as well start with the most.
Oh, he didn't. Audacious. He's not the first AD. He didn't schedule that. He wasn't in charge of the schedule. I think like the schedule is based on so many things, locations and everything else. There's like a Jenga to it. So that was just first up to bat.
Oh, so it wasn't, let's try the most cartoonishly ridiculous.
No, I think it
also
was like,
physically difficult.
Yeah, no. It's not. It's always just like, hey, we bought this location. We paid the guy from a barbershop, whatever, $600, and he said between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock we can use it. It's like, it's decisions like that. It's very like producerial.
That's amazing. that
Yeah,
you
the actor's
started-
last to know or decide any of those types of decisions.
But that's just amazing to me that was the first day, and then you're like, okay,
Yeah.
it can't get worse from here.
Well, he almost quit. He did quit. He quit. He like walked home with his broken dick trap hanging out of his pants. And he told me in an interview this morning that his kids talked him back into doing the movie. He was like, "Eric's gonna get me killed. I want to quit." And the reason we have Tiffany in the movie is because of that incident. He called his reps and he's like, I'm quitting the movie. They're gonna get me killed. This is way too dangerous. I can't do this. And then he called Tiffany just to vent. He was like, dude, Eric Andre's got me doing this prank movie. This guy pulled out a knife on us. I'm gonna die. This is too dangerous. She starts laughing. She hangs up. She calls me a few minutes later and she's like, yo, you almost got Rel killed shooting a prank movie? I go, yeah. And then she goes, I want to be in your movie. That sounds awesome. I live for that shit. I was like, you got the job. And the woman that was going to play her character originally just dropped out. She fell out because she had a schedule conflict with her television show that she was filming, and she wasn't able to do it. So it was kind of like a casting from heaven. And then Tiffany just brought so much value to the movie. But because Rel was in such a stressful near-death experience, he called Tiffany to vent. And because he vented, Tiffany was intrigued. And because she was intrigued, she called me and offered her services. And she killed it. She's got some of the best scenes in the movie.
No, you could tell she loved it.
She lives for it. She's so good at it.
She wanted to kiss cops. She wanted to.
Yes, that's the thing. She's like, she had so much value. Like that scene where she's like flirting with the cop was such like a little in between scene, just a little pickup that we needed, and she just adds so much comedic value with like every single sentence out of her mouth. She's just incredible.
And that chicken restaurant scene, the entire thing is magic.
Yeah. What you don't see in that scene is that me and Rel and Tiffany went into the chicken restaurant like 4 or 5 times, just like cartoonishly just missing each other, and kept asking just to gas the people up, like, how the fuck did you not see her? She was just here. She's looking for you. Just to like mine the best reactions out of all those people. And we did. Like that one woman whose name was Jackie. I think she's like the most charismatic person in the movie. We really
Jackie, and then her boyfriend or husband.
Yeah. You talk too much, Jackie. You're talking too much. yeah.
But that scene, along with many other scenes in the movie, also kind of plays up like, we talked about the difference between trying to do a prank show or movie as a Black American or even bluish, as you famously are.
Yeah.
But also you see in how the reactions are different that you get from the white Americans and the Black Americans.
Yeah.
Like
I also think like we showed like the humanitarian nature in everybody across. Right. We showed like good Samaritans of all.
True.
Like the guy, the black guy with the dreads during the when Rel and I have the falling out during the car crash scene. And you had the ROTC guy who talked me off of
a ledge,
off the ledge, the army recruit guy. So I want this movie to bring America together.
Well, hopefully Bad Trip will bring America better, and less have people be tired of your bullshit.
That's right. That's right.
Because there are certain people, especially black Americans, who are like, no, get out of here, get out of here, you crazy kid.
Yeah.
We need more people like the old guy who's like, he's in love. He's in love. Let him go. Eric Andre, it's so great to catch up with you.
Don, likewise, man. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. We have to do this again in 14 years.
That sounds good. We'll do.
All right. Bye.